We're now into the second week of the Windy City Bulls G League season. And in the second week, Adama Sanogo and Julian Phillips really are the standout through the team's 2 games during this week. We're going to talk about it all and more, break it down right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode, or the second episode of the Windy City Bulls review, where I'm going to be reviewing the G League team, the Windy City Bulls, and giving recaps of the games throughout the week. Now, the Windy City Bulls do play again today. Matter of fact, by the time you're watching this, they may be actively playing during this the time that you're watching this. That, of course, won't be recapped on that. Sunday games will fall to the next week, but we have a lot of things that we need to recap in the for the week this week for the Windy City Bulls. So the Bulls face off the first game of this week against the Indiana Mad Ants. And this was a game where Dalen Terry's still out. He was out for both games so far this week. So there you go on that one. And the standouts really in this game were Quentin Jackson with 22 points, 7 of 14 from the field, 0 of 3 from three-point range. He also chips in 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. And then you have Chris Clemens as well, who really didn't stand out at all in the first week of the G League play. 20 points in that first game of the week, 6 of 18 from the field, 5 of 5 from three-point range, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. Max Hedengeiger, another player that I've been talking about as well, who kind of has stood out as well. Now, he's an older player, so I don't really know if he's going to end up being a player that ends up on, some NBA team's roster, but we'll see. He gets 15 points, going 5 of 14 from the field, 1 of 5 from three-point range, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steals. Onulap Bidham again with 14 points. He scored 14 points in every game up into this one. The second game that we're going to talk about is the only game which he didn't score 14 points in, but he goes 6 of 12 from the field, 2 of 5 from three-point range, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and only 1 turnover, which is really big considering that in the first week of the G League season play, Onulap Bidham had a lot of turnovers, really kind of adjusting to that dynamic in the NBA of the added athleticism and strength, things like that. So to see him not have any turnovers was really big as well. And then you have Adama Sanogo, who stood out as well with 14 points, 11 rebounds, 1 assist, and 3 steals in this game. Adama Sanogo continues showing why he was what he was in collegiate basketball, and to see if he's going to be able to kind of bring that to the NBA level at some point, to be a rebounder and maybe somebody who can thrive off like putbacks. But Adama Sanogo just looking really strong, using his size well, understanding how and where to get off his shot. He actually made a three-pointer in the second game we're going to talk about for this week. But he really stood out and played extremely well in both these games. In this first one to start off the week, that 14 and 11 and 3 steals, really big from Adama Sanogo. As he's really, that release has still been kind of slow, but he's understanding how and where to get his and how to score off the rebounds that he gets as well. Like I said, being very effective, and we'll talk overall about his G League run so far this time that has been really good at. Now, the second game, the Windy City Bulls faced off against the Cleveland Charge, and this was the debut of Julian Phillips, who we're definitely going to talk about as being one of the standouts in this game. But the biggest standout in this game was a player we just left off on, and that was Adama Sanogo in this game, going 9 of 11 from the field, 1 of 1 from three-point range, 15 rebounds, and 2 steals. Adama Sanogo, again, understanding how to use his strength. And that's the biggest thing that stands out in all of this from Adama Sanogo, is how he uses that strength. He is a big guy who can get to the rebound. Now, again, he's not going to be as strong at the NBA level. Everybody's strong, but I still think he's going to have above average strength. Also, how slow he is at times may come back to bite him. But again, Adama Sanogo is thriving in the G League right now. I don't know what that's going to mean when we get to the overall recap. We'll talk about what that means for kind of the prospect of him making it to NBA roster, but he's looking really good down there at that level of competition. Quentin Jackson also stood out in this one again, 17 points, going 7 of 14 from the field, 1 of 5 from three-point range, 9 assists in this game, 3 rebounds, 2 steals from Quentin Jackson. And Henry Drell, who didn't play in the prior game, 13 points in this game. Nothing really too standouty with it, but he did score 13 points. It was nice to see. But then you get to Julian Phillips making his G League debut. And listen, this was a debut that you couldn't really ask for much better from Julian Phillips coming into a level of competition. The thing that I say with this is that, yes, it's G League, so everything that I say you want to put under perspective of it being G League. But the thing that really stood out the most is that he seemed like a player that was drafted to play in the NBA, right? We've talked so often about like Dalen Terry, right, who goes down to the G League and looks good, right, but kind of still even then looks good for a player in the G League, right? But Julian Phillips steps in that first game and just absolutely looks head and shoulders above most of the competition in that G League. And before anyone gets to saying, well, isn't the same thing with Marko Simonovic? No. Marko always looked like a player who was lost on the defensive side, but did have some rebounding and scoring upside. It was more than that with Julian Phillips. Julian Phillips in this game go 5 of 16, which isn't amazing, right? You got your thing with that one. But he does also go 1 of 4 from three-point range. He gets 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals, only 1 turnover in this game to go to 13 points. Julian Phillips, at least for a first game in the G League, looked and showed the skill set that you hope that is going to get him on the Chicago Bulls roster at some point in time. Onuralp Bitim in this game as well. His worst game by far in the G League so far. Only 2 points in that game. So kind of the takeaway so far. You can definitely see and look at Adama Sanogo and Julian Phillips as being the standout so far. And when you look at their season so far, Adama Sanogo through 4 games in the G League, he's averaged 25 minutes per game. He's averaged 17 points per game in that time, which is on really good efficiency, 66% from the field overall. He's 100% from 3. He only take 1. He made 1 with that. He's averaging 11 rebounds, averaging a double-double down in the G League, 1.5 steals and 1.5 blocks in the G League. I am in no way saying that those are stats and statistics that show that is indicative of what he'd be able to get at the NBA level. Not saying that at all, but there is enough there that you can seriously look at and see how he can make his way to an NBA roster, bringing size and rebounding to the back end of the bench at the bare minimum. And that's what really stands out about Adama Sanogo through this G League season so far, is that he is, much like I said with Julian Phillips, you can tell this level of competition is kind of easy for him. And, you're going to see if that continues for him and see how they develop him, things like that. But as I've said before with Adama Sanogo, if the Bulls get some development with him and he's able to at least rebound and thrive off putbacks, there's absolutely a role for somebody like Adama Sanogo. And no, before JDH gets to typing it, he's not Kofi Cockburn. Kofi Cockburn had no skill. Adama Sanogo has basketball IQ, and that's evident by the way he moves around the court, how he uses his strength to get to certain places and to get the inside edge. When you see Adama Sanogo rebound the ball, it's always with intent. Unlike somebody who just gets rebounds off the fact that they are tall, have a long wingspan, and they're strong, Adama Sanogo puts himself in a position and always has the defender on his back to where he's either going to get the easy bucket or he's going to get to the free throw line. So those are things as well. He's averaging 2.5 free throws per game, hitting it at a 6% clip as well. Adama Sanogo is looking extremely well and playing out really good so far in the G League as well. Haven't got to see much of Dalen Terry, so there's not much to take away there. Onuralp Bitim so far. And a lot of Bulls fans have been asking why Bitim can't get on the roster considering the Bulls need shooting. And the story continues to be the same when it comes down to it. Onuralp Bitim so far in this averaging 11 points per game, which is cool, but he's doing it on inefficient scoring. He's only shooting the ball 35% overall from the field and 28% from three-point range. So again, that size, that added strength of this level of competition versus overseas is really giving him fits. Now, I do like some of the other things he's doing. He's averaging 5 assists per game, right at over 2 rebounds per game, and those turnovers have come down. He had 4 turnovers in each of his first 2 games, but now with the 4 played, he's only averaging 2.3 turnovers per game. 2.3 turnovers per game. So, again, that's coming down a little bit for him. You still want that to go in the proper areas, but the shooting has been rough for him. Adapting to the strength of this level of competition has been rough for him as well. So you want to really look at that. Justin Lewis as well, another player that, we've been kind of interested to see what the Bulls are going to do with him. He's played 3 games in the G League so far out of the 4 that the team has played. He's averaged 24.5 minutes per game. Not a lot of anything else, right? He's just not averaging a lot of points. He's not scoring the ball too overly efficiency. He's averaging 4 points per game in that time. He's shooting the ball right now 20% from the field. He is doing some things defensively. He's getting 5 rebounds per game as well that I do like to see from him. But it's a tough go. Now, a player coming back from ACL injury, that may very well be the thing that's kind of holding him back. But again, you just want to kind of look at that. That's the thing with him. And then, of course, Julian Phillips being the player that 1 game played, 32 minutes played in that. He just played extremely well and seems like he understood how and where he can get his at this level of competition. And it's good to see him show, at least in that 1 game, that he is better than the competition here. That's what you want to see from a player that you spent a pick on. Yes, he was a 2nd-round pick, but you went in, you traded assets to get him. So you want to make sure that it feels good to say that he's looking like a player that is above the level of competition that he's playing at, and that may bode well for him to actually get some time in the NBA, which we did see him check into an NBA game earlier this season so far. So that's kind of the things that have really stood out so far. Henry Drell, 30 minutes played as well. He's averaging 13 points per game. So, you like to see that from him also, but it's some things that he can tighten up as well. But like I said, I do see Henry Drell as somebody who could make an NBA roster, especially as a shooter at some point in time. He has some things that he definitely needs to work on as well. But overall, the Windy City Bulls continue doing exactly what we want to see from the Windy City Bulls, and that is develop talent, have some players playing pretty good for us. Quentin Jackson is another player that can absolutely dunk the ball. Like this guy, a 6'5 guard, 173 pounds is what he's listed at, 25 years old. Do not be surprised if you see him in the Windy City Bulls system for quite a few years. Don't know if he makes the NBA roster. Usually around that age of 26-ish, you don't really see players unless they really are head and shoulders above G League competition. But he does make it fun to watch Windy City Bulls games, I would say. But that's the Windy City Bulls recap for today. Let me know what you guys think on all that down below. Like I said, some really promising things to come from it. We'll be bringing this each and every week as long as you guys are supporting it. Make sure you're following the channel at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullscentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and or voicemail, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls and Windy City Bulls related. And I'll see you guys the next time I feel like making a video. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.